this week, our own Ana Kasparian went off to debate Ben Shapiro, the intellectual gladiator himself, thanks to irresponsible people in the media. Anyway, she went into hostile territory to have this debate, and we want to show you some excerpts from that debate. So let's launch into some of these videos.
Our organization is one that on a daily basis supports whatever you want to call it, the free market system of economic choice. It was disturbing to me, and I think to our organization, when the National Education Association looked at a resolution, I believe it passed one of their committees, that called the free market system one of oppression, but didn't call out other totalitarian regimes. So what does it say when our educators don't seem to believe in the free market system?
Okay, so it might have been difficult to see that question because it was spinning so rapidly. But anyway, they each had their answers. Let's go first to Ben Shapiro.
The notion that capitalism is a system of unfreedom, well, government, largesse, is a system of freedom, ignores the fact that somebody actually has to pay the bills. It also ignores the fact that all growth, not some, all growth that has ever happened is a result of capitalism, meaning it is the result of free market transactions in which people consent to services and goods from other people, in which people innovate and make new products. There's a reason that we're not still riding horses and buggies around, and that is because of innovation. It's because of incentive structures. It's because people get to keep the fruit of their own labor and then use those fruits of their own labor in order to invest in things.
I don't know how Ana kept it together during that, both for the substance of what he's saying and then his whole thing. Either of those things would have set me off, but she was able to keep it together. Before we analyze though, let's go into what Ana had to say.
The idea that, children or students in this country are taught that capitalism is evil is new to me, because I certainly did not get that type of education. Quite the opposite, in fact. Freedom is an interesting way of framing it, because the fact of the matter is, if you are financially stable, if you are, in the top 10% of this country, for instance, you probably feel incredibly free. You have options, endless options available to you. You probably have a nice nest egg. You have a little bit of that economic freedom.
It's such a good point. Oh my God, about what? Ben Shapiro is always gonna do fine. He gets massive support from wealthy people. He feels free, he feels comfortable. But people who are desperate, who are making minimum wage, they have far less effective freedom in what their life is going to look like. Anyway, I don't want to drone on. Michael, what do you think about their alternate answers to that question?
Well, I'm just going to talk about Ana's. I want to talk about Ben Shapiro. Ana gave a great answer right from the outset, and that is to dispel these scare tactics and the other side, says about these about what's going on. She said it right there. Nobody's being taught that capitalism is evil, and that's the bottom line here, is that these people have to understand that that's not going on. You're chasing an enemy that isn't there, and that's the problem. But enough people believe what that questioner and what Ben Shapiro would say about it, that it becomes a really onerous task for someone like Ana to sit there and tell them that. But it's true. Yeah. That's the most important thing she said.
Yeah, and so one of the things that effectively is a challenge, and also by design is a challenge, because Ben Shapiro understands debate enough that he tries to make this happen, is say a bunch of untrue or crazy things, and then it goes to you, and you have to decide, am I going to answer the question, or am I going to rebut crazy thing A and crazy thing B and crazy thing C? If I do that, am I answering the question? Do I look crazy because I'm talking about all these crazy things? And that is by design. It's the Gish gallop, I think, is the thing that they call it. It's just throw out a bunch of crazy and then make the person have to chase after all of it. And if they miss any of it, then they're gonna look bad.
It's important to say it really quickly.
Exactly, so I'm saying it really quickly. Yes, that is 100% true. And then I'm glad that she fit in a response to the just stated idea that no, kids are trained to be commies in public schools. What are you talking about? Like, who has had that experience? It is not true, and I'm glad that she pointed that out. But then there's even more fundamental things. So she has to answer the specific question, but I'm sure she would also love to respond to some of the implicit lies that Ben Shapiro was saying, or at least ways that he either truly honestly misunderstands everything about what we're talking about, or at the very least wants the audience to misunderstand. And it's fairly fundamental. He thinks capitalism is this thing. This is capitalism. It has these characteristics. It involves this thing, and you're trying to sully it, rather than capitalism is an incredibly complex system that has a variety of gives and takes of regulations and freedoms that vary by state, by time, by individual, by industry. It is not socialism and then here comes the capitalism and the socialism, they're gonna hit each other. That's not how it works at all. It is a bargain. We advantage workers sometimes in some ways. Then we go through eras where we don't see that as much. We can get into why that is, what effect capitalism has on politics that produces that. But it is not just one thing. Everything we have because of capitalism. What? So if we were to analyze post Great Depression, post World War II, the greatest economic expansion the world has ever seen, we got that only because of capitalism? Unfettered, free market, no regulation capitalism, no union movement, no weekend, no nothing. No government, providing programs that allowed people to purchase homes, subsidized. Like it was just capitalism, and now you're trying. It's just so much nonsense. And how are you supposed to actually respond to all of that, and also respond to the question that the guy from the Chamber of Commerce asked? It's a difficult task, Michael.
Yeah, it's an impossible task. I mean, kudos to Ana for going into that den. I never would do it, and it seems in just that one answer, I'll watch a little bit more of it, but that she acquitted herself perfectly. You have to answer these people, but you also have to call them out, not just give them the substance and call them. That's why I glommed onto, hey, that's not being taught. Wasn't taught to me. It's not being taught today.
Yeah.
This construct that they think the world exists in the way we have it, that there's an us and them. No, that's not the case. You learn all about capitalism and other things in school, but you're not ever taught that it's evil. You find it the evils. We don't learn about tax loopholes that early anyway.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's talk about a couple of meta things. There's a lot more to the debate. It's available, and you should definitely watch it. One of the reasons I wanted to cover is this. I want to send you to watch the full debate because Ana did do a great job. We knew that she would. She is, however, being criticized for doing it, and I wanted to give her defense of this. So she tweeted earlier today saying, going to be insufferable for a second to make an important point to those who want to accuse me of being some sort of demon for allegedly platforming another demon just by debating Shapiro. I went before a room full of literally 1,000 people who disagree with me. Health industry lobbyists, healthcare companies, oil businessmen, Republican politicians were all there in the audience. No one except one worker at the venue and my husband was on my side, and I went in to debate a guy who is admittedly known as a good debater. I would argue because he understands how to manipulate the format, and he comes in with an audience that's gonna like anything he says rather than actually, like people say he has a lot of data. Okay. Does he take the data that's accurate, apply it logically? Anyway, that's my own issue. But he is known as a good debater. That is totally true, because he does understand how to manipulate things. She goes on to say, that took effing balls, and I'm sick of being underestimated and attacked as some sort of bimbo. I went in because I know I can defend my views assertively. Ben has a bigger following than me. I can assure you he's platforming me, and his audience isn't crying about it. She goes on to say, I wish the left were more confident. We look weak with the platform scolding. I think we're right on the issues, and I think we can change more minds if we speak to more people. So look, everybody might disagree to what extent these sorts of debates can work. I do feel differently than Ana. It's not that I think that they're pointless. I think that they can affect some people, and I think that she is one of the few good faith people who does this to actually try to influence people. Many people say that, and that is not why they do it. They do it to build their brand, to get more views, to get a book sale, whatever. I think Ana is being completely honest when she says why she tries to do it. And she also makes a good point that I think is very important. Should you platform these people? First of all, he has a platform, but also, what are you platforming them for? If you just go on Tucker Carlson's show and agree with him, okay, what was the point of that? But if you go into the lion's den and you disagree vigorously to try to rebut their, I almost pulled a Michael, I almost swore there, their BS, that is worth something. If you're smart enough to do that, if you have the facts, if you can, articulate your values, that is a great use of your time, I think. And the idea that you would attack Ana Kasparian for being willing to do that, I think is completely needless. Anyway, final thoughts, Michael?
I can't believe that pulling a Michael is now cursing. Sorry about that.
Previously it was pulling a Jordan, but now it's a Michael.
Now it's a Michael. I'll never do it again. Agreed. Amen. I see some of the value in what you're saying. I also don't think it's horrible to do both, is to try and sell a book and to
Sure. But be honest about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Be honest about it.
Yeah.
That's why Ben Shapiro is doing it.
Right.
To get people to watch his show.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.